Beloved one, I know this hasn't been an easy journey for you. I don't really know anyone that has had an easy journey. Today, I just want to acknowledge and speak to you directly, right where you are, to encourage you to feel a sense of being held. And how do we experience a sense of being held if we have often felt like we're free-falling and there doesn't appear to be something that's catching us? We're still alive, but the scars are immense. We don't have this feeling all the time that whoever we think of as creator, whatever your relationship is with creator, I have mine, you have yours, that they're going to prevent us from harm. And I think that's one of the riddles that we work out as adults, is start to realize that just because we're in a relationship with the divine doesn't mean we're going to be prevented from all the hard stuff. And every time something bad happens doesn't mean we've been bad. And every time something good happens doesn't mean we've been good. When we allow it to be a punishment and reward system, it's like a child who's always seeking affirmation and creates a relationship with their parent where it's imbalanced, because we just always want to know, am I okay? Am I okay? And it's really normal to want to know, am I okay? It's really a common human experience to check in and see what's happening and how can I give and receive more love. But we set up this structure of punishment and reward. And what if creator and creation and divinity just doesn't work the way we've been thinking it's been working? Because if everything bad that happens is a punishment and everything good that happens is a reward, then what about those of us who have been just navigating challenge after challenge after challenge? If we see all of that as a punishment, if we see all of that also as somehow on purpose, as if we had to go through all this stuff. I don't know what you believe, but I don't believe that. I don't believe every hard thing you've ever gone through, every job lost, every abuse, every lie, every single challenging thing, every bit of harm, every bit of violence, every bit of accident was on purpose so you could learn a lesson. I think that you did learn a lesson from it, but I don't believe it was on purpose. I don't believe it was sent by the divine or someone beyond this space-time so you could learn a lesson. You chose to learn a lesson from it, but it's showing up in your space. That eviction, that notice, that slander, that gaslighting, that ridiculous accusation, those are not all because you called them on. Some you did, because we all do, but not every single hard thing that's happened to you did you create. Notice that if you take on that worldview, which is a very popular worldview that's created a multi-million-dollar industry, you created everything, therefore you can uncreate it. Well, good luck with that. If you actually work with people in trauma and pain, you recognize there's another story going on. I don't know what the story is, but I know what it isn't. And what it isn't is you did not call on all the bad things that happened to you. Neither did you call on all the good things that happened to you. But still, inside of all of that, how do we reshape a new relationship with what's happening here? All this uncertainty. We barely recognize the lives that we're living. The life I'm living is so different from the life my grandmother Eden McLeod and my mother Karen McLeod led. My life is so different. I barely recognize what I'm required to do to just show up and be accountable to community and to business and to life itself. This is a different place that we're in right now, in this age, in this era. And we don't know how to work it yet. We don't know how to be comfortable with it yet because it's really uncomfortable. And the uncomfortable is the new reality. And getting comfortable actually makes us seeking to always get comfortable is part of what creates suffering, because we're always recognizing we're not there. People often ask me to speak about this topic of how bad things happen and why, and also uncertainty, making friends with uncertainty. But today I don't want to actually go into that. I wanted to preface with that. But today I wanted to start with something else. And the something else I wanted to start with is what is certain. What can you name that is certain for you? What can you name that you can trust, that has you feel held? And it might not be the things you think about. It might not be your partner. It might not be your mom or your dad or your kid or your boss. It might not be your household. It might not be anything that could be taken away from you based on the behavior or emotional set or mental health of another person. How can you feel held when that's also such a moving terrain? We're moving in and out of feeling held and loved and seen. And so we're using other people's behaviors to develop our own. But what if there's something else to look at? And what if that something else is grace? And what if grace is in creation? Whatever you believe about creator and creation, you are made in some kind of shape, in some kind of energy, in some kind of image that's in relationship with creation and creator. And you have a part to play in it. But that doesn't mean every bad thing you created and every good thing you created. If we could just set that aside for a moment and just come into the spaciousness of what's possible when you discover what is certain in life. And what is certain in life isn't something we take for granted. It is something that is often a privilege. And the first thing I think of is earth, soil, that I wake up and I can stand on ground, a privilege, grace, that I can pour myself a glass of water, surreal bounty. I know not everybody can step out on solid ground because your household is shape-shifting. I know not everyone has clean drinking water because you might be living somewhere where that's already been removed from you and you don't have access. But those of you who do have access to ground and water, can you acknowledge it as a certainty? And I don't mean that it's going to be certain forever, because you know what? It's finite. But right now, can you step out on ground? Can you take your shoes off and put your feet in the bare grass and feel that soil and feel the energy of earth rising up through the soles of your feet? Can you raise up your hands to the sunlight and to the moonlight and feel the expression of creation moving toward you and through you? There is a currency of grace that is flowing. And for me, that grace is certain. And that grace is creation, what creation already gave to us. It's all already here. We're living in paradise and we're not acting like it and we're not sharing it like it. And many are commodifying it and keeping it from those of us who really need it. People are trying to make it something you have to purchase, so you don't actually get to have clean water and clean air. You actually can only be privileged to receive those things. But if right now you can go to a park, if right now you can see light out the window, if right now you can breathe air, if right now you can recognize the trees around where you are standing, could you allow yourself to see that as a form of grace given? Could you allow yourself to see that as a certainty? And again, it's not forever certain, because the trees could get cut down and the air could be polluted and the water could disappear. But right now, in this moment, could you allow yourself to experience the grace which is around you? Could you experience the reality and the certainty of the four directions? Could you orient yourself? Do you know where the sun rises? The sun rises right here and the sun sets right here, and I can align myself. I know the path that that sun is traveling and that that full moon rising is traveling, and I orient myself to that certainty. And yes, there's some shift and there is a processional wobble, and I don't know how it all works, but am I in a certain relationship with the sun and the moon? And the reality is I am, and it's certain. And I count on it. What else? What else is certain? If you choose to be a part of a community that has a long-term plan to stay together, there's certainty there. I've been gathering in circle for 30 years. I'm certain that as long as I'm capable of showing up in circle with you, I'm going to. And what's certain for me that I'm going to try with my whole life is I'm going to call ceremonies on the cycles of the year 8 times. I'm going to gather with you around the world who want to come, and we're going to be in ceremony and conversation. I'm creating a level of certainty in my community so that you know I'm going to be there if I can. And if I can't, those who are being trained in our council will be there when I am not. And this will go on beyond my lifetime, because that's what we're building. Because I want to create certainty where certainty can be created. It's not everywhere. It is not certain that you have a phone or a computer to connect with me right now. It's not certain that you believe me. But what is certain is that right in this moment you're listening, and right in this moment I'm speaking, and I'm speaking to you. Because in my heart, I feel the cries of the world, and I want to be with you in the quantum way that we are right now and just say, I'm inviting you to feel held by this moment, by this sacred technology in this sacred space. I'm inviting you to feel an embrace of care. I'm inviting you, whether you know me or not, to just be in an embrace with me and embrace me back. And let us create a field of loving presence. I don't have to know your exact circumstance. I don't have to know every single thing you're dealing with. Whatever it is, it's a lot. And sometimes you don't know if you're going to make it, and sometimes I don't know if you are, and sometimes I don't know if I am. But what's certain is I'm right here, right now with you. And I'm extending a circle of grace. And I'm inviting you to connect with the nature that is around where you are. And let yourself engage in a relationship with creation where you feel held, and to see creation as a part of your relationship with Creator, if you have one. And if you don't, maybe you could just call it life force or the source of creation, to just be in relationship with creation. I invite you to breathe with me and to just be as present as you possibly can. I'm inviting you to understand that there is enough for all of us on the planet, even if you haven't been experiencing it or someone took it from you. But just knowing that there is enough and that you are enough. And that I showed up today with you in mind. And I'm giving enough. And hopefully you are receiving enough. May a blessing of grace be with you today. May love be at the center.